So your company has decided to adopt Angular going forward, Angular 7 Plus. So how do you get your teams up and running with Angular 7 Plus quickly if you don't have time to put all of your teams through an all-encompassing Angular course? Well, the one thing that I recommend for setting up a basic Angular app is to go through the Angular developed uh, tutorial called Tools of Heroes, and it's available here. This was developed by Google. It put you through the basic setup of a project and how Angular works. But what is the one thing that your teams really need to understand to be good with Angular? And in my experience, uh, most software engineers struggle with. Some people say it's TypeScript, but really, that's TypeScript really is really very easy to learn. If you're from if you're coming from a C sharp background or Java background um, or C++ background, that won't be a problem for you. TypeScript will not be a problem for you. Even if you're coming from just a pure vanilla JavaScript background, you're really good with JavaScript, going to TypeScript would not be a problem at all for you. But what I think the one thing that most software engineers struggle with when they first learn Angular is the RxJS observable library. Um, Obviously, the RxJS library is an external library. It's not part of the native JavaScript architecture. Um, but by default, Angular uses the um, RxJS observable, right, in its code. These are its operator. Okay, so as such, you need to get really good with observables, and really at the core of it, RxJS observables are just observer pattern, right? The observer pattern with pub/sub, which has been around in computer science for a very long time. So if you have a little bit of time, I would say learn the RxJS library on its own, learn all of its operators and syntax. You don't have time for that. Learn it in the context of Angular. Um, Here's the link to the RxJS specific to Angular. But really, they're really one and the same for the most part. Okay, but they need to be familiar with RxJS and all of its operator uh, in the context of Angular to really be really good at it. For example, they need the little gotchas like you need to unsubscribe from the observable so you don't cause a memory leak. Um, when you navigate away from the component from the view, like for example on your ng understory lifecycle hook, you should unsubscribe from observable. And also, some companies will use um, Angular with Redux. In that instance, then you need to figure out how to use something like NGRX, which is a combination of observables and Redux. Okay, but really, you should learn how observable works first. Okay, so that's the one thing that your teams need to learn in order to get up and running with Angular 7 Plus quickly. Good luck.